Hello everybody, this is Shaitan bringing you a game between the red Protoss spawning in the south side of Antiga Shipyard, TT1, formerly a Fnatic, but recently they've parted on amicable terms. And then spawning in the west side of Antiga Shipyard is the blue Zerg Xomp. This game is a self-proclaimed sick PvZ by TT1, so I thought we'd check it out and see what exactly makes this game so great. So, let's see how things start. On this map, it is very possible to get the hatch first off, assuming the Protoss doesn't scout in the proper direction. It doesn't? I'm not really sure what TT1 is doing. He might be going for some type of proxy over here, or checking for a proxy hatch, maybe any type of cheesy shenanigans, but it looks like TT1 is just going to be doing the very normal Forge Fast Expand. It's very popular right now in the PvZ metagame. It allows the Protoss to sort of stay a leg up, or at least stay even with the Zerg in terms of economy, and get and develop their army after a period of time. We do see that TT1 is going to be able to reach the natural before a hatchery can go up, so Xomp is going to be forced to go some type of a pull first build. We'll see if he decides to go gas pull and do some type of early sling opening, or if he decides to go for the very popular quick 3 bases in response to a Forge Fast Expand. The problem here with the way that the players are oriented on this map is that the third for Xomp, or at least the normal third, is just a stone's throw away from the main of TT1, which means that any sort of Stargate play is going to be able to, first off, hit very, very quickly at this third, but secondly, it's going to be able to, they're going to be able to ping-pong back and forth very, very easily. But we do see the hatchery is going to go down by Xomp. A bit of a blunder there by TT1. He should have dropped the pylon there if he was going to be gallivanting and adventuring in the main, but it's really not that big of a deal. TT1 did decide to drop the Forge first. It's a bit odd that he decided to go Forge first, knowing that his opponent was going pool before gas, and which means that he was going to be fairly safe. TT1 might have had the timings down so well he knew that if it's just safer to have the Forge down first. If you do see him beginning to wall off this choke, he's probably going to get a cannon right around here, maybe here if he wants to drop a gateway here to complete the choke, and that looks like what he's going to do, but this is just going to keep him safe from any sort of early Zergling pressure, and Xomp knows this. He's only making 2 Zerglings to sort of chase away this probe and just maintain a little bit of map presence on in the map so that he's not going to get caught unaware by proxy pylons anywhere. But otherwise, we do see TT1 does get that Nexus down. Xomp does have an Overlord scouting everything, but the gateway is down, the cannon is going down, and worst case TT1, in case of any sort of like early sling pressure, is always going to be able to just drop another pylon or gateway right here, completely wall this off, and then that looks like what he's actually going to do. So he's getting up 2 quick gateways before he's going to get his core. This points to him perhaps predicting that there's going to be a fast third coming out, and there is. It just goes down by Xomp. This is designed to allow TT1 to get a quick set of Zealots, maybe even 4, and then quickly go and harass this third base. This is going to force Xomp to have to make some amount of Zerglings to defend rather than just powering drones, as would be ideal. But in terms of what's happening right now, TT1's Nexus does finish, as does Xomp's hatchery. They're both on even bases. TT1 is slightly ahead on Harvesters, 23 to 22, but that's going to quickly change as Xomp does power up on drones. He has these 2 Zerglings right here, so he's going to be able to see what TT1 decides to do with these 2 gateways. I'm a little bit confused by the choice to make 2 of them, but then not make anything out of them. He's just beginning to make the 2 Zealots now. I suppose he wanted to get up the Cyber Core before he began production, but he could have probably began production on the first one of these Zealots a little bit earlier. In addition, he does have Chrono Boost free, so he can either be using them on the probes to get them out as quickly as possible, or at least Chrono Boost these out to get the aggression going again as quickly as possible. Probe and drone count are again even. We do see Xomp taking 2 of his gases, which is going to sort of show that he's going to be going for some type of tech in the near future, whether it's just going to be upgrades or beginning a quick tech Lair. He is getting the very standard evolution chamber at about 6.5 minutes. You want this to go up so that if a Stargate is going to be coming out, if there are DTs, you'll be prepared with Spore Crawlers, just to be safe. Meanwhile, I'm honestly a little confused out here. The two Zealots from TT1, he's actually sending them out. I would have liked for him to wait until 4 because we can see here that Xomp is making 10 Zerglings. It's probably not going to actually do any sort of direct economic damage to Xomp unless he lets this Queen die. That would be really poor play from Xomp, but I don't think it's going to happen. He needs to be microing that Queen away, but he's not. The Queen is... Nope, the Queen's going to just kind of go... oh, this Zealot is actually going to cut him off. Is the Queen going to die? And it will... Oh, nope, I guess not. See, this is where those 3rd and 4th Zealots would have been useful. Instead, TT1 decided to change over to Sentry Production, which isn't a bad choice, but he didn't really do anything other than cost the Zerg the 5 larvae to make those Zerglings. There were no workers killed outside of the initial scouting wings for each scouting workers for each base. He didn't even get this Queen, so really, Xomp has to be feeling pretty good right now. He's able to drone up as much as he wants. He's starting to gain the worker lead at 49 to 47. That's just going to go up, assuming he unsupply blocks. He has 3 overlords on the way, and he's getting a lair. He's getting +1 melee attack and dropping a roach horn. It's possible we could see some type of aggression, but I don't think that's very likely considering how easy this ramp is to defend. Meanwhile, on TT1 side of things, we do see him getting a robo, whether this is going to be Immortals to sort of counter the roaches that are becoming increasingly popular again in ZvP remains to be seen, or whether he wants to transition into any sort of Colossus play. Both are going to be pretty effective, but I would prefer if TT1 decided to go for the Colossus due to the fact that Xomp is getting +1 melee attacks with points to Zerglings being an issue. At the same time, TT1 is getting +1 attack for his own units, as well as pushing out slightly, pointing to probably going to be taking this 3rd base due to the fact that he's dropping this seemingly random pylon in front of his natural. Xomp, however, is up to 70 drones. He's probably going to stop now and start powering units to deal with the impending push that is probably coming. He has no idea that TT1 has actually taken this 3rd base, which means that he's going to be a little bit in the dark and probably expecting some type of timing attack from TT1. We do have TT1 making this War Prism here. It's going to be interesting to see what he decides to do, if he's going to maybe come over here to the 3rd base and do one of those cute sentry drops, sort of force field off here, 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 and here, and then he's going to be free to kill them with the sentries, or if he decides to go with a more traditional Zealot drop to see what happens. We see here that Zergling speed is still not done for Xomp. This is very typical when you take one of those, a really fast 3rd base in response to the Forge Fast Expand, but it's about to finish. We see the Zealot sentry drop coming in from TT1. He's actually just doing a little bit of damage. All 4 of them done. He's not. Oh, the force fields were actually a little bit late. I would have liked to see them coming earlier. He probably could have trapped all of these drones, but he does get away with all 4 sentries, having killed about 7 workers, which is, it's a decent hit, but it's nothing really too meaningful. We see that meanwhile TT1 is now ahead in workers by 67, whereas Xomp is powering up on drones, and TT1 is going for the quick Colossus tech. It's interesting to see here that all he has to his name is the 8 sentries and the 2 zealots. If Xomp had better scouting, he would be able to just push out and easily deny this 3rd, probably force him back into the natural, but Xomp is just not really aware of what's going on. He really doesn't have any vision of anything outside of his main. He doesn't know the 3rd is up. He should have had some type of overlord positioning around here. It would have been ideal. Meanwhile, TT1, he has a bit of vision of everything. I would have liked to see him get an observer. He has an observer out, but I'm not sure where it is. It's probably floating above the army. I guess he's worried about some sort of burrow play, but he really needs to know what sort of tech Xomp is going ahead of. I suppose he does know the roaches are out, but in case TT1 was doing, or Xomp was trying to do some sort of a tech switch into Spire or something, it would have been really critical to know. Meanwhile, Xomp is trying to get +2. He's sacrificing a couple of Zerglings here. This attack should have been more coordinated. He's going to get force fielded up, but the force fields come a little bit late, allowing a bunch of the roaches to get in. They're not target firing the Colossus, so the Colossus is able to rain down damage with impunity. A couple of roaches do come from the back, and they're able to target fire the Colossus, but it's not going to die. The second Colossus should be enough to force back the assault. Meanwhile, Xomp is going to move to the 3rd. There's only 1 cannon defending it. We'll see if he can actually take it down or what he decides to focus fire. However, this army is likely going to be forfeit. He's not actually focus firing the Nexus. He's just attacking the probes, which means this army is going to lose its flight for nothing. He's going to kill a couple of stalkers. Both Colossus look like they're going to stay alive. There's no focus firing from Xomp. This is actually a really, really poor attack from Xomp. He's not going to really accomplish anything other than killing a few stalkers that can easily replenish. The high gas units of TT1 are going to stay alive. All he's going to be accomplishing is killing about 10 probes, but this is going to put him almost even again with the Protest still screaming in roaches. The roaches are still not target firing anything. We still see this Colossus, the Colossus have gone down. It might be possible for Xomp to break through, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen because of the fact that TT1 is able to reinforce with Colossus and Sentries. He might lose the third, which is going to be a devastating blow, but I don't think that Xomp is going to be able to break up of this ramp and do any sort of significant damage to TT1's infrastructure. Meanwhile, I would have liked to see Xomp do some sort of expansion behind this. Meanwhile, he's still stuck on 3 bases. Oh, and TT1 actually has done a Zealot drop in the main with his War Prism. It's doing a terrible amount of damage. It's going to be able to take out this Queen. It's going to be able to take out probably a lot of the drones afterwards. Yeah, a couple Roaches coming in that should be able to clean it up quite nicely. So, meanwhile, Xomp's army is still stuck right here. He's not doing any sort of significant damage with it, and that drop from TT1 actually only killed 1 drone, but it was able to kill the Queen. It was a nice way to force Xomp to pull back some of his army. Meanwhile, Xomp has done a significant amount of damage to TT1's army, killing 26 workers. He's now still 60 workers to 64 drones for the Zerg, which means that TT1 is keeping up his pro production quite well. The problem is, however, he doesn't have that third base up, and Xomp is keeping these Zerglings here to stop that third base from going up, meaning TT1 is going to need to pull some sort of magic to get a third base up, otherwise he's just going to fall more and more behind. Although the one criticism I have of Xomp play is that he really should have been getting expansion behind that attack, maybe taking the gold, or this base over here, just something, because right now 3 base Zerg versus a 2 base Protoss, it is manageable from the Protoss' perspective. But Xomp is trying to shift things in his favor. He's getting a Spire, he's getting an Infestation Pit ready to probably to transition into Hive Tech, maybe to go for the Pathogen Glands and actually get the Infestor Tech, but we will see. The Infestation Pit is done, he's not getting Pathogen Glands, he's not researching the Hive, so we'll see what he decides to go with. And meanwhile, he's getting +2 Missile Attack and +1 Carapace, just keeping those upgrades going on. TT1 is actually just 1. Oh, here's we see Xomp is taking the faraway gold. I like that. Meanwhile, TT1 is getting re-expanding to his third. The Hive is going up for Xomp. We'll see if he decides to go. He's probably going to be going for Broodlords, and I just don't think... Oh, we have the Warp Prism drop going in again. The Zealots are actually able to take out about 4 workers, and I think TT1 is just going to try and do a little bit of damage to the spawning pool and then get out of there as soon as possible. The good thing is that now TT1 does know that the Hive is on his way. He doesn't see the Spire right here, but I think he can probably predict that it's coming. I would have liked him to move his Warp Prism over just to be able to scout it, but we'll see how it responds. I do like that Xomp is getting these 4 Corruptors a little bit early, but it's better to have them early than wait to have your Greater Spire finish, then start making them, and you just really delay the Broodlord production by that much more. There's a small Zergling counterattack into the third. It's not going to do anything significant. It might be able to force cancels on these 2 pylons, but even that isn't going to happen. TT1 is just going to come in here and clean it out really easily. Maybe it's more significant on would have been able to do that, but probably not. We do see that Xomp is building up quite a significant bank. He's almost maxed. He's going to need to sacrifice some of his Roaches or Zerglings if he wants to make those Corruptors into Broodlords. I don't think that TT1 is going to be able to answer the Broodlord composition very effectively. He only has the 12 Doctors as anti-air, and we do see that, I don't really know what's in there, but TT1 is pushing out here with about 170 food army. He's going to try and take out the third from Xomp, but I think Xomp is going to be able to set up a really nice flank from here and the north. It looks like Xomp's just going to attack from one side. I don't know how good I feel about that. The Corruptors are doing damage to the Colossi, but with the 3 Colossi are not really going to be going down just from those 3 Corruptors fast enough. Xomp is getting a lot of his Roaches killed by the army of TT1, but I think he's okay with it. He's able to rematch really easily due to the amount of bank he has stocked. He's taking 27 Roaches right now, as well as Consortium's greatest supplier, and he still has about 30 supply that he's going to have free to make Broodlords after this army is dead. He actually isn't able to completely kill the army, but the reinforcement 30 Roaches are going to be able to clean it up quite nice. This is a shallow victory for TT1. He might even be able to do some damage to the third base. He might be able to kill it, but Xomp still has this gold. He can just transfer all of his drones there. Nice force kills by TT1. He's able to keep the Roaches out. I would like to see a swing around from the back to see if he can take out the army that way, but with Overload, be able to maintain vision of the army and still do significant damage to it. TT1 really needs to just focus fire the Hatchery, force field off the ramp, and then get out of there, but he's not doing that. He's going to lose everything in this army, and he's not really going to have anything to throw for that 150 supply to 100 supply for TT1. The Zerg maintains a commanding lead, especially with the Greater Spire just finishing. All of these drones at the main need to be transferred to the gold, and we see that TT1 has 3 Corruptors on the way, ready to be moved more. I'm really surprised that this army is not dying to TT1. Really nice blink microphone, but it's just a matter of time before he loses everything. Meanwhile, TT1's third is up. It's quite well saturated. The incomes are fairly steady. That's going to change as soon as the drone transfer. Where did all of those drones go? He transferred them to his third. Did he forget that he has this gold up here? He really needs to get that saturated to get transfer over some workers right there, because his third right now has way too many drones on it. It has almost 40 drones on it there. They finally transfer over to the fourth. That's what I like to see. But TT1, I guess, does he know about the gold? He doesn't. I think he's just scouting around to see what it is. He's now going to see it. This gold might go up with only 2 workers harvesting from it. Meanwhile, we have a roach kind of counterattack. It looks like he's just going to take out the pylon. I don't know how good that's going to be. I don't like where these drones are going. They need to be pulled back. They're probably going to get killed. No, TT1 looks like he's going to be pulling back. Meanwhile, TT1 is setting up some type of a counter against these roaches. He might be able to cut them off with a blink, but we'll see if he actually does so. He does. Xomp is going to lose all of these roaches. It's still going to leave him in a supply lead of about 40, but meanwhile, he's starting to begin Broodlord production. He has 2 Broodlords with two Broodlords, and he's starting to begin Zergling production again. He has +3, almost finished for the Zerglings. He hasn't began researching adrenal glands again, but I think that TT1 is going to lose this entire army. The Broodlords are reigning in destruction. The roaches are beginning to attack, and the Zerglings are beginning to scream, and he should be able to cut off the reinforcements. And with the blink that TT1 just did, he's going to be stuck there for a little bit of time. Xomp is really, he needs to be expanding behind this. Right now he knows that TT1 is on 3 bases. A 3-base Zerg versus a 3-base Protoss is not a situation you want to be in. Both of them are only mining off of 2 bases with their naturals both gone, but the fact of the matter is without an expansion, Xomp isn't going to be able to keep up with this Protoss army just because of how cost effective it is. Blink Stalker Micro is a very effective mechanism to stay ahead if you're even with your opponent, because they're so cost effective. He's going to be able to see these drones transferring up here, probably to expand. Meanwhile, what he's doing is Xomp is building 4 Broodlords as well as some Corruptors, but TT1 has thrown down 2 Stargates. There's a Zergling counterattack in the third base of TT1. He's probably going to kill a cannon. He's going to kill a couple of the probes, but nothing too significant. He's probably killed about 20 more workers since the last time we checked in, but I think with 37 workers against 57, he's still okay on a 2-base scenario. Meanwhile, there's another counterattack that probably cleared out most of these workers, and it's taking out some of the sentries in the main. Xomp knows that TT1 is going for the double Stargate, but I don't really know what he can do about it. There's still a couple of Zerglings here. I'm surprised that TT1 hasn't just warped in some units. He has cooldowns available, and nothing really is happening here, so the Zerglings are doing a little bit of damage. They're taking out the probes, they're taking out assimilators to deny TT1 the gas he needs to build the Void Rays out of these Stargates, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. He's going to be making Void Rays 2 at a time once he gets some more minerals, and then he's going to be able to take out the Broodlords quite well, especially since the anti-air that Xomp has to his name is just a singular Corruptor. It's not going to be able to take out the Void Rays quickly enough before they can take out all of the Broodlords and then rain down damage on the Roaches with impunity. TT1 is still down about 20 Harvesters to the Zerg player. However, he's mining on about 1 1/4 base, so that's okay. The Zerg player actually has really nice. He's oversaturated at his natural and at his third. He has yet to take a 4th base. He needs to do so if he wants to stay in this game. I think right now, up 70 supply, he can feel fairly confident in his ability to take a 3rd base, a 4th base without any sort of repercussions, as long as he doesn't get these Broodlords taken out. TT1 is actually just going to ignore the Broodlords and probably blink up into the main, try and do some damage, force the army back. We'll see how effective it is. Roach Xomp is actually going into the 3rd. He's going to be able to take out the Nexus easily, probably kill some probes. We'll see what sort of damage is going on. TT1 targets the Roach Warren, is going to go down. I'd like for him to take down the Infestation Bitten on the Greater Spire afterwards, but he is going to lose his third. The Broodlords are not going to be able to get back in time to stop the damage at his own base, but the Roaches should be fleeing right now. The Broodlords are going to be raining down damage on this front line. All TT1 has to stop this is Zealots. They're not going to be very good against the Broodlords, but the Broodlords are going to be taken out by the Void Rays. There's absolutely no anti-air here. Where's the Corruptors? The Corruptors are somewhere back at their at the 3rd base. They're flying over as fast as they can, but I think most of the Broodlords should go down if TT1 targets them, but he's not. TT1 is actually using his Link Stalkers to take out all of the productive facilities of Xomp. He can't make Roaches, he can't make Corruptors. All he can make are Zerglings right now, but he's not even doing so. TT1 is enforcing a bit of a brave base race scenario. We can see here that Xomp is taking out everything of TT1's. However, TT1 is taking Void Rays as quickly as he can. The Void Rays are going to take out the Corruptors. There's absolutely no ability for Xomp to make any sort of anti-air. This means that the Void Rays are going to be able to take out the entire army. All of the Broodlords are dead for Xomp. This means all he has are 27 Roaches to his name. With the micro, these 19 Stalkers are probably going to be able to take them out, especially with +2/+1 versus +2/+1. TT1 or Xomp is desperately trying to get up a Hydra Den somewhere at his at his 3rd base. It's going to be, he needs this anti-air to use against the Void Rays, but I don't know if it's going to come fast enough. He doesn't really have any sort of army backing it up other than the roaches, but the blink stalkers just have such mobility that they're going to be able to avoid any sort of direct confrontation and just keep hopping up into the base and killing production facilities, killing hatcheries, etc. Remember, right now it is a 1-base Zerg versus a really 0-base Protoss, but the Protoss is able to do damage with his Void Rays that really there's no answer to, because production on Hydras has just finished. We see 8 Hydras coming out, Groove Spines beginning to be researched, and we'll see if Xomp can actually win the base trade scenario. TT1 only has 3 probes to his name. If he loses these, then the army of Xomp is probably going to force to be able to kill all of the base buildings of TT1 before TT1 can do so to Xomp. However, Xomp is losing more and more units. He's down to only 18 roaches versus the 17 stalkers. He has 8 hydras to his name as well, but they're really, really slow off keep, so they're not doing anything. There is a Void Ray right now doing some damage to the drone line on the third of Xomp. However, he's going to lose this to the Hydra. TT1 really needs to micro a little bit better, and he loses one of his Void Rays, so now there's 3 Void Rays and 17 stalkers with 0 probes left for TT1 versus a 47 drone Zerg with a fairly significant army. In army supply, we see they're almost even. Zomp has a 10 supply lead, but a lot of that is with the supply inefficient roaches, so I would say they're probably fairly even. In army, we can see a little bit of an engagement being forced. I think TT1 should just engage. He can probably take this out with good blink micro, especially if he's attacking from the high ground. That's really nice from TT1, just able to rain down some free damage on the Zerg player without taking any losses. I think what Zomp needs to do really is he needs to be long distance mining from this gold, but he needs to keep his army here to defend, because right now, TT1 can come here and snipe a couple of the drones. The problem is, too, is that Xomp really needs more than just Hydras. He needs a bit of Roach or Ling support. I would like for him to throw down his spawning pool again, because his Lings are going to be like +3, +1, I think. TT1 might lose a couple of, he's just losing a bit of hull damage on one of his Void Rays. The army supplies are still stayed relatively stable. We'll see what Xomp is going to do. He's trying to force the engagement. He's trying to avoid the engagement. Sorry about that. He's just trying to build up a little bit more money, because right now, remember, the income for TT1 is 0. Xomp is the only one actually doing any sort of mining. I would like to see Xomp building more and more units here. TT1 is forcing a bit of an engagement. He's going to snipe some of these drones. I don't know if Xomp should be engaging right now. I think the army of TT1 can take him on, and we'll see what happens. I like these blinks up here. The army of Xomp does not have any vision of the high ground. His damage up there is going to be limited, and Xomp is going to lose all of his supply. He's going to be able to not kill a single Void Ray, but TT1 still has 9 stalkers and 2 Void Rays to his name. The drones are being pulled to attack the stalkers, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. I think, though, that Xomp doesn't have enough money to do anything. He just has 6 Hydras and 2 Roaches to his name. I don't know if it's going to be enough to take out this army. It's going to be very, very close. We'll see how the micro goes. Oh, you can't start mining again. You need all of your army to take this out. If you can finish this off, you win, as long as you have just 1 unit left, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. There's 2 Hydras and 7 drones or so fighting this army of 5, 6 stalkers, but the stalkers blink micro might be too much. 3 more Hydras come into the battle. Where are the 2 roaches that Xomp has? Why are they not fighting? He needs to be pulling all of his army to do this battle. Where are those roaches? With 2 roaches, oh, here's 1 roach, a little wandering roach doing, and another roach at the watchtower. He needs to pull all of his units. We're down to 18 drones versus 3 Hydra, 18 drones, 3 Hydralists, and 2 roaches versus 6 stalkers. Xomp should win this, especially, I like this, if he moves the Overlords over to block vision of TT1 so he can't micro the stalkers except in mass. That means that he's going to be doing a lot of not really useful micro. He is trying to pick off the Hydra Den, which is going to be devastating, because really Xomp has no other production facility. He needs to set up some type of a pincer. What is this roach doing here? Like, go and kill off these army. You can know that TT1 hasn't made anything else. You must know that he doesn't have any sort of harvesters. You need to attack, kill these 5 stalkers, and then you win the game. So right now, 17 drones, 3 Hydras, 2 Roaches versus 5 Blink Stalkers. The Blink Stalkers, about half of them have been damaged a little bit. Oh, and the final engagement is moving in. He does take out the Hydra Den. He has the entire army moving around. He just needs to A-move into, well, not A-move, probably do some focus firing on these Stalkers and see what happens. However, he's able to kite almost indefinitely because of the fact that the Blink cooldown is only about 10 seconds. He's losing a couple of drones every single time he attempts to engage. He really needs those Roaches in there. He really needs to... I don't know, actually, I'm not sure if TT1 can lose lose this game as long as he maintains his micro. He does lose another stalker, but TT1 is able to just, as long as he controls his stalkers properly, as long as he doesn't blink in bad ways, he should be fine. Just pull him up into the base, blink down right here, maybe go and try and do some damage to the third base. Oh, he really needs to be careful. He knows that Xomp has vision of the high ground. He doesn't want to lose this this last injured stalker. He needs to make sure that that's in the back. I really do like the micro that he's doing. This is a battle purely of micro. I would have liked to see maybe, yes, these 3 drones are continuing. They're going to go and mine at somewhere. They should really just go to the golden mine. There's nothing really else going on. Xomp should also probably be bringing his queens down to force an engagement as well. TT1 meanwhile is going for these drones. He wants to take them out, limit the fighting units of Xomp as much as possible. He's doing a pretty good job here. The Hydralisks off of creep especially are so slow, they're never able to get in range of the stalkers, but I don't like that TT1 is coming back. Even singular hits on the stalkers are eventually going to add up. Xomp really needs to somehow, he lost a roach somewhere, but like set up some type of mini flank, maybe like have some queens over here, force the stalkers over there, maybe set up even a couple of drones counterattack. But now we're down to only 3 drones, 2 hydras and a roach against 4 stalkers. This looks like it's going to be GG for Xomp. He just wasn't able to reinforce his Hydralisk army with the slings that he needed to be able to corner TT1 stalkers, and Xomp is actually going to lose his 1 remaining roach, so then it's just going to be 2 hydras and 3 drones against this 4 stalker army of TT1. I think when that happens, he can just barrel roll in there, force the engagement, and with proper blink micro, he should be okay in terms of winning that engagement. It's really unfortunate that Xomp didn't see fit to make another spawning pool. I think those Zerglings would have proved to be the difference. They could have caught up to the stalkers and at least done enough damage to force them back, but they'd definitely be better than the Hydralisk for that purpose, because the Hydralisks are just getting kited indefinitely. They're never able to catch up to the stalkers, and we see here TT1 is kind of poking about. I think he's feeling like he should knock out this hatchery, but I think he knows that Xomp doesn't really have anything. So I think he's just wandering around waiting for Xomp to come to the same realization. Probably going to go and do some amount of and he's taking out some random creep tumors. Probably going to do a little bit of damage to the main base, to the hatchery as he can, because he's always able to run up here and then blink down. Never going to be taking any damage. Xomp, meanwhile, looks like he's just thinking about kind of coming to terms with what's going on. He does have these 4 drones. I would have liked again to see him mine from the base, because you know, you get a couple gold minerals every turn. TT1 isn't really going to be able to stop that. He's trying to take out this hatchery, but you're okay as long as you have this hatchery. You can also always build an extractor way over here, which means that maybe with those gold minerals you'd be able to build the spawning pool, make a couple of Zerglings, and those Zerglings could make the difference. But TT1 did take out the natural hatchery. He is going to blink away. No, actually, he's trying to force engagement. He just did a little bit of damage, took out another unit, I think. Maybe it might have been a broodling. But he still has those 4 stalkers. Army supplies are still the same. I don't really see Xomp winning this. There's no way that he can do so without a little bit more, a couple more units. You need something to buffer the Hydralisk, something to keep up with the stalkers, something that'll be able to actually let him do damage to these 4 units, because right now drones, queens, and hydras are not the fastest units, and now these 2 drones are probably going to die to TT1. He did waste his blink there. I don't know if I like that, although I guess with the fact that these are stalkers, they're not going to be able to be caught up by any of these. And Xomp GG's out. Very interesting game there by TT1, and I guess it would be right to call it a sick PVZ.